Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 4th, 2023 at approximately 4:29 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to you to this world for one primary purpose, to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for everybody, for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the tools I personally live by, the ones I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life that I talk about are the ones that I personally live my life by. Now, we start off, I've always told people that technology and I have a problem. So here I am right off the bat trying to get things started. And what do we got? Technology problems. So I don't even know if people are going to find this one tonight. Although I do see that Eternity has... Oh, we've got people moving back in. Eternity is here with the gold. Emmy has shown up with the silver. And we have Nathan popping in with the bronze. Now, I do appreciate you guys finding me because I have one stream up and then it dumped itself. So I just don't know what's going on at this point. But I do know that I've got to blow this up. Everything was going just tickety-boo, and then all of a sudden it went sideways on me, which is pretty much normal in my world. So let's see if I can get things up and running here. I'm not exactly holding my breath, but here we go. Oh, look at that. Now, interesting situation. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You are in with honorable mention. Now, the reality of it is technology and I have fought for a very long time. One thing I will caution you people about, when you're working with your higher senses, with psychic capacity, quite often what will happen is the biomagnetic flux will affect, in all likelihood, the electronics around you. But you got to remember, electrical output runs positive and negative. Okay. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, in answer to your question there, before I go any further there, Philip, have I ever tried remote viewing the moon? Well, I did that to start with. Then I figured out how to actually get there. But the moon is an interesting situation. I don't know if anybody has come across the information yet, but the moon has a micro layer of an atmosphere that will one day evolve into something more. Exactly how long it's going to take, I don't know. Okay, left to its own accord, the atmosphere will generate over time anyway. But with what mankind is working on, they're likely to enhance it. Charlene, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I hope your day has been going well. Now, when we talk about, and first and foremost, before we go any further, let's get a couple of things out of the way. If you already have your higher senses, and you already work with them, this will simply enhance your ability. I appreciate the corroboration there, Philip. Philip's just saying that this Ingo Swan said there was some atmosphere on the moon too. I do know how it's going to evolve. That's the easy part. But it's already occupied anyway. Joe goes, oh, my iPad and iPhone go bonkers every day. Yeah, unfortunately, that's normal. That sadly, Joe, is a very normal thing. One thing that you can do now, and this, if you're just working with basic senses, that's fine. This will enhance them if you're already fully active, or reasonably so. This will stabilize it a little more. First thing you look at is this issue of grounding. If you take your shoes and socks off and just put them flat on the floor, you'll find it easier. Okay, Now, you can call it your imagination if you like, because the higher senses, the gateway to the higher senses, is your imagination. Okay, so you put your feet flat on the floor, preferably in bare feet. Okay, or if you're outside, that's even better. And you literally concentrate on the soles of your feet, feeling the connection as best you can. Now, this is something. Where are we here? Trying not to pop my back out, but tilt that for just half a minute. This is something else you look at. Okay, when you're standing up, you feel how your feet are sitting, are connecting. Feel where the weight is on the heel and on the balls of your feet. Now, you'll notice I sway a little. Well, this is because when you're standing up, first of all, my balance sucks. Second of all, as you shift, you can apply a little more pressure to your heels or to the balls of your feet, depending. What you're looking for is to find that point where you feel equal pressure on all points. The heel and the ball of your feet is the same as your hands, just shorter toes or shorter fingers, depending on how you look at it. But by concentrating on that, okay, first thing you'll find is you're a lot more grounded. Okay, and by doing that, you'll start opening up the other senses. Now, while you're doing that, take your hands, and now I've got a lousy video, so you're going to have to deal with it. Take your hands, palms open, point them towards the ground. Okay, and feel and reach out with the energy so you can feel a little bit of pressure there. Now, I've shown you this by putting your hands towards each other. This is just an extension on the same thing. Because what you're doing is you're putting your hands palm toward the ground and you're simply feeling the pressure run until you feel it bounce back. Now, this may take you a little bit of time. Okay. Where are we here? Just gotta sit down. Terry, the answer to your question is yes, I am ready to go on. I am ready. I've already talked to Dave and let him know I'm ready to go tonight. Now, before I go any further here, but no, this is just one of those fine little tools that you can do. Tracy B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, I'm rather content with the fact my back is finally working again. This was a nice little shot. Oh, by the way, couple of things here. Okay, we start with this. Now, I will be on Dave's show tonight at 9 o'clock Pacific. Okay, where are we? Whoop. Copy that. This is the link to Dave's show. Okay, and as you guys, if you've been watching me at all, as you guys know, I've got where are we? As you guys know, I do work straight off the chat room. That said, that's the same here. Quite frankly, I got the idea from him. But if you've got a question, even if it isn't in the field we're talking about at this point, okay, absolutely put your question in the chat room. I will tell you, whatever your question, the odds are other people have the same question and just haven't figured out how to ask. Now, what do we got here? Just double checking to make sure I haven't missed something. Now, the nice little part about it, and from the whole chat room thing, I love the interaction, you guys. Let's just see. Pull that down. I'm sitting down here for a minute, so that works. When we are talking about enhancing your psychic ability, there's a number of things that you can do. Okay. Shadow, my apologies for dumping the system. Well, actually, the system dumped me. But I am glad you found us again. And this, where are we? Shadow. There we go. This is the link to Shadow's and to Shadow's stream. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Okay. Are you kidding me? I gotta double check that. I just gotta see, that's all. Where are we here? There we go. Yeah, Derek. I did get your message this morning on YouTube. Yeah, in the comments. And I agree, waiting 9 days to respond is definitely too long. The problem is that I couldn't even essentially get out of bed for over a week. Threw my back out, and that just screwed up a whole pile of things. Now, let's go to this. Bryson's Folly, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Philip is asking, did humans start in Antarctica? I've heard that the official story has been debunked by DNA evidence. So I thought, why not Antarctica? Seriously. Okay. Couple of things for Bryson, for you, Bryson. First of all, if you see people writing things in all caps, this is not considered yelling in this stream, in this room. This is simply how you're going to be heard. So if you've got a question, doesn't matter the field, doesn't even matter if we're talking about it at this point. Okay, put your hand, just put the question in all caps or at least partial caps. At the very minimum, take that wavy hand, the little icon, or what is it called? Emoji. There we go. Take that and put it there just so you can get my attention. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, Bryson's just saying, I'm basically blind too. Easier to read. Well, yeah, and from my standpoint, I can't track it as well. Am I blind? No. My other half certainly is. Yeah, like that, Tracy. And thank you so much for that. The answer to your question there, Philip, before I get lost in my own sideways chatter. Number one, humans were not built in Antarctica. Okay. They were built. Okay. They were built out of Earth. But was it done in Antarctica? No. Not from anything I've seen. Okay. But there were some that moved down there. Okay. Neat part about it is when we start looking at the way people talk about evolution, mankind has evolved a staggering distance, but mankind has lost a staggering amount of information. Okay, they've lost a lot of the knowledge. It used to be handed out, by word of mouth. Now what's happening is so many people are creating a problem by not even communicating. Ever seen one of these silly things? I've watched people nearly get run over because they're staring at this and walking out into traffic or walking off a curb. What has happened here is mankind has forgotten how to communicate. Now, the reality of it is, and there's been all sorts of changes that have happened on my end, but when you're looking at enhancing your ability, another neat little tool, and I've talked to you about this before, and if I hadn't had computer problems, I'd have dealt with it. But, and this will work just as well. Okay. If you take, and you don't even worry about what's in this, but if you take a small box, doesn't matter what it is, a small box, a paper bag, Let me show you something here if I've got it. Actually, I probably don't have it. Oh, maybe I do. Don't want to use that. What do I got here? That one. Okay. Take something simple. If you're striving to get your clairsentience, what is literally referred to as clear feeling. Okay. If you're striving to do that, take about a small box. Okay. This one happens to be my electrolytic balance. But take a box. Doesn't matter what the outside of the box looks like. Okay. Open the box up, or more to the point, get a friend to open the box up. Okay. Absolutely there, Philip. This is something we used to push. Let me ask you this, Derek. What do you consider crazy? Okay. The trick is not to okay, let's try English, shall we? One thought at a time. The first thing to get rid of craziness, if you will, what you consider crazy, first you gotta understand, or you've got to have a definition in your head of what you consider as being crazy. Okay, Shadow, I'll go over that because you were first in the door. So I'll go over that again, and yes, I did this once. Okay. You stand on, let me tilt that so you're not looking at my belly button because that's just wrong. Okay. Slide that out of the way. Now, I realize you can't see my feet, but you stand up. If at all possible, stand up. You can do it sitting down. It works essentially the same way, just a little bit more focused. Stand up, and you feel on the bottom of your feet, you've got your heel and the ball of your feet. Okay. So you stand upright and make sure you adjust where you're standing. It'll take a little bit of swaying, but so that you can feel the pressure equally on the balls of both feet and on the heel. This enables you to ground yourself a whole lot more effectively. Now, I've talked to you before about taking the palms of your hands and pointing them towards each other about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch apart. Okay, by doing this, you're enhancing your sensitivity to the energy flow because you'll feel something between your hands. Now, whether that is pressure, heat, waves, that's up to you. It's up to you to describe. But with that in mind, while you're standing there properly balanced, put your hands palms down towards the floor. And I realize you can't see, but you're going to have to imagine because my screen only goes so far. Take your hands, put the palms down, and feel the pressure in the palms of your hands as it's reaching out to the floor. Again, this is simply enhancing your grounding. By enhancing your grounding, you will also enhance your energy flow. Now, with that in mind, of course, I'm sitting below the level here. Told you I was having technology problems today. But with that in mind, this will enhance your receptivity to it. Okay, it will also help stabilize and bleed off the negative energy you're picking up. Now, the other thing we're looking at. Okay. Oh. Now, the important factor there, Derek, Derek's going, well, sometimes I howl at the moon at night. The first question I always ask at that point is, does she ever call back to you? Or do you ever hear the echo relocation happen? The neat part about it, when we know another thing on the enhancement side, Take any box at all. Doesn't matter what the outside looks like. Okay. In this case, this is just the electrolytic balancer I use to keep my blood pressure stable. Okay. But you take a box and get a friend to do it. Okay. That way you don't have to try and forget. Get a friend to take a box, or an enemy, I don't care. Take an object of uniform shape, reasonably uniform shape, uniform color. Okay. And wonder if that's big, small enough. Nope. Just looking to see if I've got anything that's actually functional. Yeah, that would work. Even if you do this. Okay. Now, if you take a look at this card, okay, you're taking a small box. Take something, okay, that is small. In this case, it's a bank card. Okay, you'll notice it's primarily one color. So you take something that is a uniform shape, uniform color, have your friend put it inside the box, seal the box, okay, and at least close it. You don't have to tape it shut. This is not a magic trick, by the way. Do this with a number of boxes. Then have the friend set the box on the counter. You don't get to touch it, period. Okay? You don't get to touch it at all. But he sets the box on the counter, and then you just simply focus on said box. Now, absolutely, put your hands on either side of it, but don't touch the box. Concentrate and let your mind reach out, and simply write down what you pick up. Whether it is, it could be anything in there. Football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I see Henry has snuck in as well. Oh, on the plus side, that's why I kept moving as far as that goes. But the good news is that wasn't a credit card. Okay. The way I figure it, you're absolutely right. People could get my the way I figure it, there is so much going on. My credit card, my bank cards are already in the system. If anybody's going to get them, they already know how. And no, this does not mean I'm just going to show everybody. But you are right, not the brightest idea. But that said, put something uniform in the box. Okay. And again, it can even just be the metal ring on a keychain. You drop it into the box, okay, and then you reach out. Your friend puts it on the counter. You do not touch the box, okay? And you reach out with your mind and see what you can do about, write down what you feel is in there. And make sure when you're starting out, start with something real basic. A uniform shape, uniform color, uniform material. So you're looking for minimal things. Okay, another example would be the ring that I wear. It's a uniform shape. Okay, primarily it's one color. And again, it's something that you can identify easily. These are simply ways of testing your ability. You write down what you see before you open anything. I appreciate that there, Derek. I really do. Fortunately, I've been lucky. I've had a lot of people try and get my information by sending me all kinds of scam emails. Even the phone company has a new one going on. If you're in Canada or you work with TELUS, there is a new scam coming on through TELUS. And again, I cannot stress enough. Do not make the mistake of hitting a hot link on something you don't recognize. But by doing this, what will happen is you'll enhance your energy, you'll enhance your receptivity, and let your imagination do it. Okay, let your imagination go, oh, it feels like it's round. Write it down, but write your first instinct down. I'll tell you to work better. Yeah, something bothers me. I've got the real name there, the name for the Nordics. I love the people, but they aren't. Their names actually aren't Nordics. I do have somewhere in my records, and it is being added to the book. What's this? See, from my standpoint, honestly, Philip, no. And this is one of the big. Philip's asking, is there a specific place or a posture that works better? When you're striving to enhance your senses, the one thing I will tell you is find a way that you are comfortable. Okay, now do this, and when you're doing this kind of work, make certain that you're alert. Okay, if you do it when you're tired and you start relaxing, sure, you'll get great rest, but your efforts to do the work may be hampered. That's a polite way to put it, Henry. It really is. But, when we are talking about senses, you got to remember, I've been living with mine since I was born. Okay, I was fortunate. I was not shut down, although Lord knows it was tried. Okay, but I will tell you this. People tell me the best way to meditate and ground is to sit in the lotus position. I'm telling you, this is bizarre. Okay, it is not comfortable, and it does not, it is not comfortable, at least not to me, and therefore does not enhance your ability to relax. But no, when you're working on this little tool, I find sitting at the dining room table works beautifully. You just set it on the table, put your hands, and you'll see where it's sitting there. Put your hands about yay far apart on either side. Notice I don't have three hands, so can't do that very well. But you put one hand about that far apart and the other hand on the other side. Don't put it with the finger up. This isn't going to work well. By doing this, you can reach out, work with your imagination first, and do not worry about getting everything perfect. Okay, the idea here is something you've got to realize. There are all these psychics that say, oh, I'm 90% accurate. I'm like, yeah, no. It's a cute thought. Okay, it's an absolute cute thought, and it's a great marketing ploy. I'll tell you, if I were 90% accurate, I would absolutely be a multi-billionaire right now. Instead, I'm going to do it the hard way. But in that respect, I'm going to ask your guys' help for it. Now, I'm going to have to ask something bizarre here. Football's asking, were the Warrens legit? You're going to have to bring me up on who the Warrens were before I can even give you that kind. Where are we here? Absolutely, football, I agree. People that prey on others, I absolutely have no functional use for. These are the same people in all kinds of different from all kinds of different fashions. Okay, that will tell people the world, the world is ending, and I'm the only way to turn it around. I'm not the only way. If I were the only way to turn it around, I'd have turned it around a long time ago. Lord knows I'm stubborn enough. I appreciate that, Derek. Thanks for clarification. The sad reality is I've never actually watched the Conjuring movies. So I have no way of telling you I don't even know what that one is about. Oh, well, let me put it this way, football. The Amityville house is legitimate. Okay, whatever's in there is one of these rare things that is really not happy about being there. Now, of course, the fact is, it's not ready to leave. Now, let me scroll back up here just a fraction because, well, I want to. Well, more to the point, I choose to. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Tracy B. You know, and here's the neat little part. When you're in a building like that, you can feel the excess energy. Okay. So more often than not, it's just a different feeling, which scares a lot of people. But very little in the way of energy is, if you will, negative. JCL, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I've never actually been to the Amityville one. Okay. Well, in all fairness, I haven't gone out ghost hunting anywhere. Although, when I was down in Skagit County a number of years ago, I was down for the S4 for the Paragon down there. Okay. And we were looking at a building that was clearly occupied. Okay. But when you're looking at enhancing things, the first thing you got to realize is it's not something you can necessarily quantify. It's something that absolutely, okay, you can feel. But if it feels different, there's your quantification. Okay, there's your quantification. It's a new word. Okay, what do we got? And that's absolutely the right point there, Philip. Philip's just saying everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Leo Tolstoy. Okay, another great individual that pointed something out was the late Robin Williams, who came out and said, okay, he came out and said there are thousands of plans for peace and virtually no action. Now, when I said I was here to change, to build an empire, to guide people, I'm doing the changing myself. In case you hadn't noticed, right back here, there used to be a whole stack of boxes. They are now where they belong, either gone altogether or in their proper storage place. Okay. Oh, there we go. Nathan goes, quantification. You heard it here first. Well, it's funny. Even when I'm doing my editing at home with Mather Half, when we're changing, because I use the color code system, so I know what's been being worked on. We literally call it purplize. We purplize the printing, so I know what stage we're on. So we either purplize it, or we blacken it, or we green it. We've been known to greenize things, simply referring to taking that color of font and changing the color. But enhancement of your higher senses is literally tapping into your imagination. The imagination is the key to your higher senses. Okay. And one of the big things I have found, okay, is that when you really start making changes to you, okay, that's when your higher senses will kick in. The reality of the whole 9 yards, okay, is you've got the same ability. Now I'm wondering how many of you thanks for that, Nathan. That's the thing I keep forgetting to ask. Okay. As Nathan's just pointed out, if you like the stream, absolutely do me a favor and give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. We have a massive amount of work to do here. Society is on a real annoying turn right now. Okay. And what I mean by that is it is society at this point. We are being told the world's ending, we're all going to die. Well, we are all going to die. I've known of 3 people in history on Earth that are purported to have not died. Okay. But the reality of it is, when you look at the corporeal form, much as it is designed to live for a great deal longer, okay, if you read the Bible, it says 10 years is the amount of time we're allotted. That is wrong. Okay, scientists have already figured out that where it comes to the human body. Frost Kitten, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Scientists have already figured out that every cell in the human body is replaced every 7 years. Different organs replace themselves at different times. But this means your body only gets to be 7 years old. Now, of course, the fact of the matter is, that the toxins that are put into the atmosphere, into your foodstuffs, into your water, this is what's causing a lot of the problem. Now, I'm just looking here. Henry goes, I had a meditation session using the method to channel 0 point energy with my lady friend last night. Felt like we were right next to each other, despite being miles apart. Just wanted to share. Henry, it's that kind of thing that I absolutely encourage people to share. The idea here in this room is so that you guys can learn from each other. Okay, that this becomes a safe place where we're not passing judgment on people going, oh, you couldn't have had a psychic experience. Sorry, man, I'm better than you. You couldn't have possibly had one. Or, I believe in UFOs, but you think you've been abducted, you're right off your rocker. I'm telling you, I wasn't there. I don't know. Okay, I don't know for certain. I remember one event, and I'm not going to tell you who. Okay, I remember one chap I was talking to, and I told him I'd been watching his situation since it happened. Okay. And we got talking, and I laid out what he had gone through. And he looks at me because he had been fully abducted. And he goes, you've just described exactly what I remember, but that was never publicized. He says, there's only one way you could have known that. He says, the only way you could have done that is if you were on the ship. Okay. And I said, well, yeah. I said, I told you I was watching it from the time it happened. He says, yeah, but I thought you were referring to the newscast. I said, no. I was referring to quite literally what was going on. He subsequently corroborated it. And yeah, Derek, I appreciate that. I know there's a lot of jokes that are definitely adult oriented. Okay. And with that in mind, okay, I am striving to keep this very PG, or not PG, very general. Because the reality of it is, there's a lot of people out there. There's an awful lot of people out there that are going through things that you may well have gone through, and they don't know how to cope with it. Like, how many people have you heard of, yourself maybe included, that have witnessed a ghost come on and get out of the grave, walk somewhere, okay, and just vanish before your eyes? In all honesty, football, no. What I do with any purchase that I'm making, whether it's a vehicular purchase or the services of an artist, okay, I go, okay, what are you offering? And if they go, this is what it's going to cost. If I like the price, I will pay for it. If I don't, I'll tell them I'm not buying it. Or I'll go, this is the value that I'm willing to pay him. That's where the negotiation ends. Um, you know, so no, my abilities. The only time I can, and I wasn't really well versed at the point when I was heavily into drugs and alcohol. I used to use my ability, my empathic ability, to encourage people to give me things for free that I desired. Now, the weird part about it was that would happen with everybody I ran into. Net result, I never paid a plug nickel for any of the drugs that I took, and I only paid for 2/3 of the alcohol. The rest of it I was given for free by somebody. And again, the same thing happens when I've been pulled over by the police. Okay, years ago I used to get pulled over for speeding. Not once. Yeah, I didn't argue with them, but not once did I get a speeding ticket. Couple of verbal warnings, but never a ticket. Yeah, Henry goes, I make it clear that if you, ETs included, come in peace, you shall have peace. But if you come for blood, you shall have blood. I have a very big, very sharp piece of metal, and I don't want to use it. That's the thing. This is why it is so important that, especially if you're empathic, when you approach somebody, treat people the way you desire to be treated. Okay, this again is simply another method of enhancing your own abilities. Okay, now I live wholeheartedly by karmic law. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Okay, all three of those are equally important, and they apply to every entity in existence, whether they are human, animal, terran terrestrial, alien race, ancient race. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. We could go on, and that's just wrong. But when this is why I tell people, if you ever do get out this way and you desire to meet me, understand I'm the same way face to face as I am with other people. Except if I'm standing up, I don't usually move my hands as much. Yes, I do. Right now, I keep water. But if you think about it, I take a look at our temperature right now, and we are looking at, see, at 33, we're looking at just below 90 degrees. Okay, this is why I've got this fine little fan sitting here. Just a little guy, but it's just enough to keep the energy flowing and the air currents flowing. Oh, is that where that came from there, Philip? I did see that show a long time ago. Yeah. Henry goes, I know how to use a sword, but I will use it if I'm in danger. But I absolutely do not want to use it. And this is a good thing. Not a problem there, football. I went through school when Canada was switching from standard to metric. So I remembered a lot of the conversion formulae. Absolutely, Tracy B. The fact of the matter is, if you desire to be treated decently, they tell you a lot of things. There's a lot of things in the Bible that tells you that are very right. Okay. But they miss a couple of important factors. Okay. Like, for instance, when they tell you respect your mother and your father, this is fantastic news. I strongly encourage it, but it only functionally applies if they respect you. Now, this does not mean they let you do anything you choose. Okay, that really isn't the way it works. There's a lot of the older comedies that are functional. The reality of it is, according to a lot of people around me, my sense of humor, to say the least, is a little lax. Okay, something I will tell you, and again, yes, you'll notice we go like this. Okay, we're talking away and we're going down this road, and then we go over here, and eventually we'll swing back and get back on track. This is the same way my life goes all that time. Now, Byron's still in the room, because I can't tell if you're still listening there, Byron, but I do hope so. You know, what are we sitting at here? If we hit refresh, I'm just checking to see if we've done anything. Okay. See, the neat part about it, like when we look at the modern weapons, I get a kick out of it because modern weapons have some advantages. Okay, the primitive weapons have one advantage. Okay, and especially the melee ones. You never run out of you never run out of ammo. You may run out of steam, but you don't run out of ammo. Myself, I don't. The closest thing to owning a gun I have is this one right here. That's the closest thing to owning a gun I have. And this one will not fire a shot. Okay, it's always been fake. On the other hand, if I grab it lying by the barrel, I'll tell you that's one heck of a weighted object. Yeah, pointy sticks work like a charm. And they really do there, Joe. Let's put that back where it was. But no, when we're talking about oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tracy B. Tracy B goes, machete works. You'll love the one character I've got in the Yldrbac Chronicles. There's a lady by the name of Tanya Jan Scott. Okay, who her favorite weapon is a serrated machete. Either that or twin 44 Silverado mags. Okay, depending. Rest assured, Henry, depending on where you live, finding the material to make a bow, well, you definitely need the ideas. You definitely need the skill. But the material for making a bow is just wood. If you really want a strong bow, you want compound. Oh, here we go. Nathan goes, not chatting much, working on the Mercury project, but eyes aren't wanting to cooperate too much. Well, whatever you do, if you put your fingers in the Mercury, don't lick your fingers. But when you're, again, you can do the same thing. And I'd like you guys to, one thought, one sentence at a time, we may make better headway. Okay, take a glass of water. Now, you can do it with a standard glass or something like this. Okay, I'll set that there. Get a glass of water. Okay, taste the water. Pour your glass, take a sip of it, and notice how it tastes. Then, take your hands, put that over there. Take your hands, put them a quarter inch to half an inch apart. Focus on the energy. You may feel heat, you may feel a little bit of pressure, maybe you'll feel alternating pressure. Okay, concentrate on that, and as you do so, slowly separate your hands. This is a way of enhancing your psychic ability. Literally what is called clairsentience or clear feeling. Okay, now what you're gonna do is take your hands about yay far apart, and you're gonna work at it, feeling the energy until you can get your hands about that far apart. Okay, and then slowly, because you're gonna want to feel the energy still running between your palms as it goes over top of your glass. Okay, bring it down to the level of the water while you can still feel that pressure. And yes, from my standpoint, this is the easy part. Feel that energy run between your hands, right through the glass. Okay, but concentrate on one word. Okay, That one word is heal. While you're holding your hands on either side of the glass of water, keep that in that mind sitting, that mindset there. That what you're doing is healing the water. Okay. And by doing that, once you've done it for a little bit of time, okay, I will get to your answer there in just 10 seconds there, football. Once you held it there for 3-4 minutes, take your hands away, okay, pick up the glass, and taste the water again. Okay, now what you are likely to find is that it is either sweeter or it's got less of a bite, but you'll notice a change. Okay, this is water purification at its finest. Now, football, the answer to your question, do psychic abilities grow as a senior citizen? That kind of depends. Okay, psychic abilities, you're born with a certain amount. Okay, that you're born fully awake, and then people are taught to shut it down. But every time you have a trauma, every time you have a shock to the system, this way, and every time you study and work with it, your strength will grow. Even as a senior citizen, you can still get your strength to grow, but it's done by deliberate choice. Okay, most of the time. Okay, technically, Derek, you're right. It could. Now, if we go way back, and yes, I draw on the Bible periodically for stories. Okay, when we go back, it tells you that Yeshua turned the water to wine. Now, Hollywood, right off the bat, made the wine red. Yeshua didn't turn it to red wine. What Yeshua did was he purified the water. Because you got to remember the amount of impurities that were in it even then. Dust particulates, odds and ends of animals that had died and what have you. Yeshua, what he did was he purified the water. And it does. If you've ever tasted tap water compared to spring water, to actual natural spring water, it really does taste almost like wine. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, I can do the same thing with a glass of water myself. Now, I noticed that Derek has gone, it might even turn into vodka. Technically, it is possible to do that, although it doesn't happen that frequently. Now, football is gone. When we are dying, are your dead loved ones there to support you? Quite honestly, yes. Okay, not all of them, because you got to remember, depending on how long ago they passed, the average turnaround time to go from human to human is 70 years. So if they're already in the process of transitioning over, you may well find that they are, that they are still there. But bear in mind, family and friends and loved ones, we're talking human, animal, and plant, plus energy patterns like, for instance, the Cordon, the Holic, okay, and the Waylosh, which are elementals. Okay, these are entities born of the elements. If you've got friends in those capacities, they too will be in the same place. Okay, now Nathan's just going, I took a hit on the head, bad when I was 4. Rewired me, practically unlocked me. Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's an absolutely bizarre setup. Because with the number 10, now something to remember, you're born, the psychic abilities get stronger every time you have a trauma. Birth is a trauma. Okay, the two most common times are puberty, which virtually everybody goes through, and menopause or pedopause, depending on who you talk to. Okay, depending on whether we're talking male or female. But those are traumatic changes. Okay, every time you have a near-death experience, in my case, I just went way past the near thing. Your senses get up. Every time you get a psychic overload, Like, for instance, the day I watched a guy jump from 10,000 feet to parachute and disappear beyond the tree line to bounce off the main road, the main downtown road in Kelowna here. I didn't see him hit the ground, but I was in a stand. I was in stands with 300 other people watching it happen. You know, and the reality of it is we are taught to forget about a lot of what we're doing, what we're able to do. As in, you get to be 4 or 5 years old, and parents turn around and go, oh, that's a wonderful imagination, Junior. Now, grow up and behave and be more mature. Philip goes, I'm like St. Thomas in the Bible. He valued and tried to live by Jesus' wisdom teachings, including seek and ye shall find, and even refused to believe anything. Instead, he wanted to understand. Yeah, definitely a splat there, Derek. It was, from my standpoint, shock of shocks because I was tapped into what he saw. I'll tell you, the ride down is a rush, and the fall doesn't kill many people. It's that sudden stop when you get to the ground floor that causes the problem. But the ones, and this is just an enhancement for you directly there, Philip. It applies to everybody, but since you're on that thought line already, when you're told, ask and ye shall receive, I will tell you, asking creates a problem. Thank and ye shall have. Because the difference is this. When you ask, much as it makes sense in the linear standpoint, I don't have something, I'm going to ask for it. Okay. In the way that reality works, the here and now is all you get to work with. When you ask for something, you're saying, I don't have it now. Net result, you will never have it. Thank your guides, thank your God, your creator, whatever, okay, for providing what it is you're seeking. Yeah, Derek's just going, I had an NDE experience when I was 5. Fell and hit my head, and my afterlife experience is still vivid in my head. Even the conversation with people waiting in the halls of life. Yeah, I mean, I've been across so often now, it's just, for me, it's just kind of a redundancy thing. And by the way, this does not make me better than anybody. This simply means I'm a little different, or a lot different, depending on who you ask. But yeah, your loved ones do show up over there. You know, see, I gave up on the NDE when I found out that if you go all the way over, it's no longer called NDE. It's just called a DE, a death experience. I've tried a lot of different ways. Something else, and this is where we're going to cross from the metaphysical into the physical. Okay. If you're learning, if you're wearing glasses, you're told in all likelihood, okay, let's just take a peek at something before I go down there. Henry goes, I was an edgy atheist for many years as a teenager. I believe in the divine creator now, but have no use for religious dogma, unless useless, unnecessary, superfluous. The theory, yeah, ultimately, Ozzy, how you doing? Didn't see you come in. Glad you can make it. Now we're going to jump from the metaphysical to the physical. If you're wearing glasses, you're likely told that as you get older, once you start wearing glasses, your eyes will start to fail. Now I'm going to explain to you why. And no, I am not an optician, and don't just take my word for it. Go and do your own research. Okay, but the human eye naturally adjusts its shape to handle light coming in from different angles. Okay, if you're wearing glasses, you're crippling yourself. And here's how it works. When your eyes change, okay, when you look someplace, they will automatically adjust to handle distance, to handle something close, to handle a specific spot. Okay, but you move your head, the light comes in from a different angle. your eyeball automatically changes shape. Okay, this is normal muscle. Okay, you've got the ability, if you have trouble focusing and you're looking at something, and just give this a shot. Okay, you're holding something a little far away. Bring it closer to you until you can see it clearly. Okay, now I recommend black and white because it stands out easier. Tell you, white and orange, not great. It used to be, if I were holding on to my glasses right here, I couldn't physically see them. Okay, but when you've got a book, or a box in this case, you hold it out and then you bring it back slowly until you can see it clearly. Now, what you're doing there is you're working the eye muscle, the optic nerve, so that you can relay the information properly. The moment you put glasses on, okay, you freeze your eyeballs because the glasses are designed to take light from only one direction. And for some bizarre reason, the lens, once you've got it, doesn't actually change shape. You know, so you put your glasses on and your eyeballs will not change. So what happens is you get used to the light coming in from only one angle. Okay. As soon as you take your glasses off, your muscles in your eyes have already atrophied. Okay, and again, this boils down to the metaphysical term for it is psychocellular kinesis, meaning mind over body. By taking something written, you hold it out where you can't read it and bring it back slowly until you can. Okay, and that's where you hold it. Now, it may take you a little bit of time a little more time to read, but what ends up happening is you're actually deliberately healing your own eyes. Now, I will tell you, I'm not shutting down the optical industry, because let's face it, without these little monsters, I'm not reading anything on a computer right now. And my other set enables me to drive without killing people. So absolutely, if you've got glasses, wear them when required. But I do strongly encourage you to take these things off when you don't require them and put them down, preferably somewhere where you remember where they are. You know, from my standpoint, I look at it this way. Anytime you can use your higher senses, okay, any amount that you can use them at all is a way of enhancing them. They don't just naturally get stronger, but they will naturally weaken. I shouldn't say that. Sometimes they do naturally get stronger. You know, I don't even know if we've got Tubi on my end. Of course, I don't know half of the stuff I've got, technologically speaking. But no, there's an old saying that goes very well. And this does apply. What I'm talking about, this is all stuff I personally do. And as was said centuries back, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more, meaning everything that I talk about doing, you yourself can remember how to do it. Okay. And, the reality of it is, and this is really, I ended up meeting somebody the other day, and I should have shown them that neat little trick with the ability. And the next time they're out here, I'm going to have to make sure I do. But you can actually feel other people's hands, other people's life signs, even if you're not right in the same area. But I do caution you, as you get stronger, the ability to block out some of the stuff may become a bit compromised. Okay. Now, I've got to go through emails once I get done here. Okay. Because I'm starting to put the information together to get the publishing company up and running. Because whether I get help or not, it's happening anyway. But where it comes to you, again, using your higher senses and your logical, the standard 5 senses you're aware of, using them in conjunction is a way to make your life so much easier to work with. But it does take deliberate focus and deliberate action on your part. It's not something that's just going to happen. Now, I'm just scanning back up to see if I missed anything. And again, guys, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. We are sitting right now with 18 thumbs up. And what are we at? 518 subscribers, which by my recollection, according to YouTube, means I've got about 2,000 viewers or more that are coming in. Okay. Oh. Okay, here's a neat little thing for you, Philip. Number one, Philip has said, I want to remember how to do so-called normal stuff, like dancing in public without feeling painful anxiety. I want to block that pain. Well, first and foremost, we take the word want, throw it out of your vocabulary. Whenever you utter the word want, alter and stop yourself, whatever the phrase is. I want to do, no, wait a minute. I desire to do whatever, or I choose to do whatever. But throw the words want and need out of your vocabulary. Cut them off completely. They are equally interchangeable with require, with desire, or choose. Okay. That's the important factor right there. Okay. Because by doing that, and then what you do, if you desire to dance in public, start out this way. Okay. Because I understand the whole thing about self-consciousness. I grew up afraid to speak to anybody, my own family included. But something I have seen work really well for people is you take a headset, and today's technology works really well. Take a headset, put the headset on, start off in your own room, okay, where you're not in public. You put the headset on, and you get dancing, really fast-paced dance music going, and let yourself feel it with the headset without anything else. It would be wise to plan to cover your eyes with a blindfold as well to cut down on external input. And again, these are ways of actually opening up your senses. Net result, as you open your standard senses, you will enhance your psychic capacity, your ability to sense beyond what your standard senses generally pick up. And I'm just doing exactly what Derek has asked. Input whip. Why? Oh, I know why that would be there. Derek's just asked, he goes, where's everybody from? And let's see. I know we've got people right now. We've got people in Canada, the US, England. We've had people visit from Denmark, Australia, and Singapore. Okay. And that is getting stronger. And the more connected, what this tells me is in this room, we've got a microcosm of the world growing here. Crystal, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. And Crystal is down in Oklahoma. We have football out of Dallas. And Aussie now, if I recall correctly, Canberra, that's down in Australia, isn't it? Probably why the name Aussie. And we have Kimberly in the house with Michigan. I suppose I should probably do that just because I'm curious. And what I don't know is where Stillwater is. But, the more that we share with each other, the more we interact with each other. This is one of the things. Cowie, how you doing? Right out of Hawaii, obviously. I love it, Derek. I really do. And Tracy B is from way up in the Yukon. The more we connect, the more we share what's going on in this world, okay, the stronger the senses are going to get, the stronger the combined energy is. And it's that combined energy that we have control over, that we can either make this world turn around and become essentially the Garden of Eden, the paradise you desire, or we can turn it into absolute hell on earth. The call is yours. Now, I'm recommending the peaceful way. Of course, I've been recommending that for centuries. I tried telling the people in ancient Egypt that. I tried telling the people in ancient Rome. I met a lot of people over the years that have. Oh. Now, how, pray tell, can that be? Philip's going, Canberra is Washington, D.C., but in Australia. Oh, I see, okay. Now the neat part about it is the more we connect, the more we focus on the positive sorts of things. Okay. The more we focus on that, the stronger the energy flow towards a peaceful future comes. Now, my son just informed me the other day that apparently even the allies of the Russians are pushing for peace. Okay, going, look, this war is not getting us anywhere. So like I said, the power of the public is far greater than the power of the politicians. But we have to work together. And if you'll notice, the politicians in-house don't always work together either. Okay, from my standpoint, I look at it this way. I've got to, I hid in the shadows for a very long time. Quite seriously, I hid in the shadows for centuries. And finally decided it was time to step out and go, this is where I'm heading. So this is literally the way things are going on right now. Oh, football's going, I just moved from Aubrey, Texas to the Frisco area. And, the way I look at it, doesn't matter what city you live in, what country you live in, where you live, whether it's a city or just a tiny little town. Most people live inside a 9-block square area. Okay. Like, that's just the way it is. People tend to stay inside their own area if they can. See, I always got a kick out of it. They call it the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not a sports fan, so if I got that one wrong, hey, I got it wrong. But I always get a kick out of it because the moment somebody says Cowboys, I always think horseback and guns, which I'm thinking is a dangerous way to play football. Oh, that's why it is. Philip goes, there's a neat documentary about how Canberra is laid out, similar to Washington, D.C., similar use of sacred geometry in how major buildings are positioned. And that's the whole thing. We talked about Feng Shui a long time ago. Okay, but the thing with Feng Shui is most of the books are written about Eastern philosophy, about Eastern civilizations. Thing is, it works beautifully the way it's written in those civilizations because the entire culture is laid out. But I'm telling you, the principle behind it works beautifully. I left that open again. I keep forgetting to do that. and definitely been sitting down too long. But so you actually don't need to see behind the door. And this thing you can't exactly see anyway. But this map here is a reasonably, from what I've gathered, a reasonably accurate star chart of 30 light years within Earth. Okay, so much as I'm not an astronomer, I still have odd bits and pieces around. Funny thing is, the Masonic layout, people talk about the Masons being a bad group of people. Everything is bad according to most of mankind. If something doesn't exactly agree with what you're doing, they're a bad person. To that end, I should have been crucified, hung, drawn. Well, in all fairness, I was crucified, I was hung, I was drawn and quartered. I was even disemboweled at one point. I've had a lot of, shall we say, really annoying things. Football goes, is it wrong to know when you're going to die? No, but I will tell you this. Once you know when you're going to die, if you know this is when I'm going to die, I strongly encourage you to let that concern go and figure out how to live while you're here. Okay, I am pushing the limits every day of the week, every moment of every day, really, because I've already been clinically, and before I was 10, I was clinically dead 4 times. Since 10, that I can confirm, that I could confirm at the time, 5 more that were definitively dead that I didn't have a doctor restarting me. Okay, and another one that's still in questionable point. Tracy B goes, I'm going to ride a bull one day soon. Absolutely fantastic. It's one of these things that'll give you a rush and a half. Tell you the one you don't want to ride, don't do what I did. I was about 6 years old. I got the pleasure of riding a tornado. I'll call it pleasure because it's a much better word. Cowie, I cannot even begin to give you a definite count on that. Okay, I can tell you I have documented on this planet at least 18 to 20. But to give you a short rundown, I was here I was here way back when the Garden of Eden was first being, and when the Garden of Eden was first turned upside down. Okay, I saw the remnants of it. I was here when we left Egypt. I was here when Pompeii burned. I was here when Manoah went under the water. I was here at least 4 lifetimes during the Roman Empire. Okay. No, I was lucky in football when I was caught in the tornado. When I was caught in the tornado, I got picked up and pinned to the telephone pole about 20 feet up. Thinking about it was, so I might have been 15. It was about halfway up a telephone pole. And then, the pole was here, and I got held against it, and I just, at 6 years old, I'm working my way back down. I was careful not to turn around the edge of it, but still being pushed. I wormed my way all the way back to the ground floor. But I will tell you, aside from being windy, it was one heck of a rush. Oh yeah, the thing is, Cowie, I actually was here when Earth was built. When Earth was first put together, I was already on site. I was actually here before it was fully completed. And many of those lifetimes, of those lifetimes, I have tried telling people with varying degrees of success that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. That you just simply, in a nutshell, you gotta be nice to each other. Yes, bad things happen. I can tell you exactly who built the moon. Okay. Number one, it was built, it wasn't as big as it is right now, but it was built by the same spirits that actually built Earth. And it was built for the same brand. Well, the moon was put there to stabilize the atmosphere and to generate the ebb and flow of life. Okay, it was put there as a balance point because none of the other planets that have been built worked out. Okay, at least not at the time. But it was a lot smaller than it is now. But you got to remember, scientists have already calculated that even Earth itself is growing about 1 millimeter a year. Okay, in diameter. Now, how they did the math, I have no idea. No, rest assured, Derek, the moon was here long before space pirates ever came into existence. And Aussie, that being said, I have no idea what the Thea theory is. So I will take your word for it. But I will tell you this. The moon, number one is not made of green cheese. Number two is not hollow, although the crust is riddled with tunnels and what have you, just like Earth is. Okay, and I'll tell you the reason for that, with the Earth especially, is temperature control. Okay, Ozzy goes, what? The moon was a planet or entity that collided? No. There were a couple of other moons that were in here, sort of. But no, the moon that's out there right now is not alive. That is not a Caboran. That is just simply a chunk of rock that was put there in order to balance out the ebb and flow of the energy on this planet. Okay, but I will tell you, over the course of Earth's history, there was a second moon that was in here temporarily that got snagged. The one that we've got was put there quite intentionally. There was a second one that got picked up, and due to stress and what have you, got torn apart. There was a third one that people thought was a moon at the time, but what it was a very large asteroid that was slowly tumbling through the cosmos, much like Tutatis is. Tutatis, by the way, is an asteroid. But that being said, the moon itself has never been a planet, and maybe you give it another few thousand years, it likely will have life as we consider life. It is already starting to evolve, but they ain't going to tell you that for about 50 years. Not in all likelihood. But considering mankind right now is working with many different countries to build technology to drag an asteroid into geosynchronous orbit around the moon, which is going to be neat. They're doing it for the right reason. Okay. Let me just check that one, because I do believe should be right here. Or is that the wrong? Nope, that's the right one. Of course, that's because those are stars, not those are stars, not planets. See this fine little file box here? I think I've got 720 different stars relating to astrology. But Tiamat, I'm going to have to take a look back into that. I have no idea. I can find it, though. Today is 2023. August 4th. We're just coming out of full moon. Okay, the full moon itself was on the 1st. But when you're looking at the influence of a full moon, you look at 3 days either side of it. 2 is really the most effective. Or the most influential is more to the point. Well, that didn't work. Well, I'd prefer not to, too. Although I will warn you, there is one coming in that if I'm right, and let's pray I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm no astronomer. I am I just am not an astrophysicist. But I will tell you, I did see an asteroid. I was shown an asteroid heading our direction that you won't see until the last minute because it's coming in behind Tutatis. And at the last minute, Tutatis is going to end up rolling out of the way. And this thing's going to come right over the top of it and into, I cannot give you a time frame. Okay, so don't even ask because I really have no solid information there. See, this is where I leave the research to other people. Ozzy and Philip are talking about different asteroids and what have you that are heading our direction. I personally don't look at them very much. Okay. Well, here's the funny thing there, Philip. Something to keep in mind about a full moon. The full moon, yes, it does affect everybody. Absolutely, it does. But the people it affects most, a full moon will have the biggest effect on people born under either a new moon or a full moon. Okay, the ones born under the other signs or anywhere outside of the full alignment won't likely get affected as much. It is possible, Joe. To be a little bit more accurate, I'd certainly need your birth date and year. Where you were born doesn't matter. Okay. But if there's a full moon over you, okay, then yeah. It absolutely can have all sorts of amplification impact. The neat part about Stargate there, Philip, that Stargate program they're talking about and that technology does actually exist. Okay, it's not as free ranging as what they're talking about right now because they haven't cracked the coding on it. Of course, they're still trying to figure out. They're looking at it going, there's 6 signals, but there's not 6, there's actually 7. Okay, the 7th one is the one they're having trouble with because the 7th one is where the Stargate is set up. Now, does this technology exist? Yes. Does it work? The answer is also yes. But I will tell you, when you look at Stargate, when you take a look at the technology for moving those rings that come down, that's a very, quite frankly, primitive teleportation device. Okay. So I mean, we're absolutely looking at a lot of changes that are taking place. But again, anytime you're pushing your higher senses, yes, yeah, Shadow, I did say it's primitive. Because you'll notice with it, they are using rings to focus the subquantum energy to create that shift. Okay, when you get into the higher tech, you don't require the physical rings. I'm just wondering if was it the Talon? No, not the Talon. Oh, the Halon. There we go. The Halon are capable of absolutely just straight teleportation. That would make sense, Ozzy. Like I said, I don't know, but I will tell you this. I do know. Now, let me think here. It's Ceres and too bad I've got the memory of the Civ. Okay, clearly I don't have what I want there. That's okay. Yeah, I mean the real danger point with it there. Yeah, the real danger point with the Stargate program is there's no way of just saying where you're heading is a safe place to be. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love those, Ozzy. First of all, let's start with the obvious. Planet X is way out there. That works out conveniently. Yes, Planet X is occupied. And actually, if I recall the movie correctly, the people that I forgot about that one. But, and I'd have to double check. I wonder if I've got the book open. Let us go here. Oh, what am I doing? Do it the hard way and go through the computer. Or do it the easy way and go over here and grab my book. Because if I go here, what we don't want, Mantis. Oh, Halon and the Conics. What I'm looking for is the heart. That must be back with the Talon. Nope, not Talon. That's wrong, but you get the idea. Yes, I'm talking to myself. Just trying to track down exactly who it was. Thought it was going to be easier, but it clearly is not. There we go. The Zeron. Planet X. Okay, if I recall the image of the people from Planet X, I think that's reasonably well done. Let me just see if I can call it up here. Grab this one, pull up another one, move it over onto the other screen, and let us take a look at the front cover of Planet X. I think if we call that Planet X movie, may work out better. Because there was a movie called Planet X years and years and years ago. And yeah, I'm not seeing what. Oh, where? Yeah, that's not showing what I want. So I'm not going to look for it anymore. But if we take a look at Planet X, I believe that was the Zeron that lived there. Okay. Absolutely fully psionic. Okay. Fully telepathic, etc. Now we go here. Nibiru itself, everybody has said Nibiru is coming back. It's going to cut through the solar system. Something you got to remember about Nibiru. Nibiru isn't a planet. Nibiru isn't even an astronomical body. The thing is a ship occupied by the Anunnaki. Are they returning? Certainly. But you got to remember, if it were just a planet coming into our solar system, it would decimate the solar system based on gravitational fluctuation. Okay, but that is operated by the Anunnaki. And yes, they are returning. Whether they will show up walking around on Earth, I wouldn't hold my breath. You got to remember, the Anunnaki are anywhere from 15 to 30 feet tall. Okay, so whoever it was that came in here the one day and went, I'm a natural half-breed Anunnaki. I'm like, okay, humans are 5.5 to 6. Anunnaki are 15 to 30 feet. I'm thinking a natural half-breed would not be physically possible. Okay. No, Callie, you can absolutely get back home. The problem is, if they don't know the coordinate, if they have that extra coordinate, or they don't know the sigil they're looking for, getting back home is going to be a problem. If you watch the Stargate movie in the first place, when they first got over there, they found out that they didn't know where Earth was. This is a very real problem. And much more importantly, it doesn't go to convenient Earth-like planets. Okay, be wonderful if it did in some ways, but what's on the other end of the Stargate program are not conveniently human survivable planets. They are planets. Some are still in the primordial period, i.e., earthquakes, tornadoes, molten rock, the whole 9 yards. Not a good place to hang around. Okay, I know of one in particular that the Stargate itself is actually set on it's literally set on a magnetically supported natural magnetic support on a floating stone. Okay. Ultimately, that's the easiest way to put it there, Cowie. Okay, Cowie's just asking, what kind of math is a Stargate? Advanced quantum theory? Ultimately, yes, except it's actually subquantum practicality. And yes, Ozzy, you are right. It's approximately a 3,600-year orbit concerning Earth. Okay. So it's come and gone multiple times. Never once has it destroyed Earth, which if it were a planet, the simple gravitational fluctuation would tear everything apart. So what they have to do, they have technology on board their ship to counteract the gravitational influx or fluctuation. Net result, Earth and the other planets remain unscathed. Yeah, Joe's going, the leaves are starting to fall here, so you can now see clear through the cemetery. Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. But again, one thing that you can do, one real bizarre question for you there, Joe. Do you by any chance have, like, does your main door, does it actually face the cemetery? Just a curiosity thing on my part. But the things we're talking about are absolutely one thing, before I go there, one other thing to keep in mind there, Cowie, and this is the basis of what drives the Stargate. Okay. And it's literally the functional theory of relativity, not the one that has to do with the speed of light. Okay. The one that literally is 1 plus 1 equals 3. This is not mathematics. Okay. But it's that theory that the Stargate program was built on. And yes, I am in the process of working out the ramifications for it. Oh, that's just it. Every cemetery has a face. It's got usually quite a number of them. You know. But no, the neat part about the activity in a cemetery is it's very seldom hostile living forms. Although I do remember years and years back when grave robbing was the in thing, you'd be amazed how many grave robbers actually died in their work. But they died in the work. You know, they died in their work because they were stealing from people that did not like being stolen from. And the fact that the people were dead didn't matter much. Okay. Now, the neat thing, and thank you so much for that, Joe. Yeah, if you can watch the cemetery, it might be wise to make notes of what you're witnessing, just to give yourself a record you can look back on. You may be really remarkably surprised at some of what you see. You know, what do we got here? Yeah, when we start looking at mathematics, you got to remember, mankind works with base 10, with base 10. As in, and here's why they work with base 10. Take your hands, count the fingers and thumbs. You'll find most of you work with 10 fingers. Well, 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. That's why mankind developed math that works from 1 to 10. Spiritual numerology, what I call base 12, works with 12 single-digit numbers. Mathematically more intensive, but far more accurate when you start looking at certain things. Joe, grave robbing is what used to happen way back in the 17th and 18th centuries, primarily. Somebody would die, you'd bury them. Even happened in Egypt. Okay, somebody dies, you bury them with their belongings. Somebody else goes in, breaks into the grave, and takes the body out or takes the belongings out. Back in the 17th and 18th century, that's where the medical doctors got their bodies to do the examinations on. Was people would go around and they would steal the bodies right out of the graves. Okay, once in a while, and you find this if you know anything about England, you find this in English, in the old English grave sites. They pull one open, there's scratch marks on the inside of the coffin. The reason being, the person wasn't dead when they were buried. Thankfully, when I died, I didn't quite get to the grave site. Got to the morgue, that was good. But ultimately, that's what grave robbing is. It's going into a dead person's home and stealing it. Oh, grave robbing is taboo. You know, you think about it. Number one, grave robbing. The key is in the word. Okay, robbery is illegal. Even if the person's dead, robbery is still illegal. Okay, so I mean, it's absolutely taboo. But back in the 17th and 18th centuries, the doctors were paying really good coin for access to bodies. So there were those who would go and dig them up and sell them to the physicians. This is how we tracked the skeletal system, figured out how all the bones fit together, figured out what modern man uses and calls just normal, and this is just normal medicine. It didn't start out that way. Okay, a lot of it, like a lot of what we know today, the methods to gain the information were, shall we say, less than polite. Thank you so much for joining us, Ozzy. I do appreciate you sharing your time. Don't work too hard this weekend, eh? No, they really didn't. And some people did, but on the whole, grave robbery was literally a question of taking the dead bodies that were definitively dead. unfortunately, in today's world, we still have organ sales that are done on the black market where people will kill to get organs. Rest assured, the human race is not as civilized as people have been led to believe. But I'm a firm believer that we can change this. It's going to take a lot of work, okay? And the more we focus on the higher senses, the more we focus on what's up above us, in conjunction with what's down here with us, the stronger our connection will be. Okay. The answer to the other question, I get asked this a lot on Dave's show, okay, is the reason we're getting more sightings is because more and more people are looking up once again. Absolutely, Philip. A lot of my closest friends actually don't even live on this planet. I am curious. But no, there is a lot of change that's happening. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, if you take your hands and you put them close together, okay, you can feel that energy. Just start there. And yes, I know I covered this earlier. You start there, and as you feel it get stronger, separate your hands so you can still feel the energy. Now I started out feeling energy that close. Okay. Now I can't get my hands far enough apart that I can't feel it. Okay. And there are those that I've worked with distance healing where I've affected their health at the other side of the world. Okay, never mind where I've reached beyond the world confines. And again, everything I'm talking about that I've done, you yourself also have the capacity to remember how to do. Let's hit this refresh just one more time on principle. Whoops. Love when it does that, and I keep thinking I should change that and keep forgetting to. Yeah, as we can see, my throat is starting to seize up, which is why I'm drinking more water. But we're down to the last 15 minutes, so I'm not about to shut the stream down yet. And again, guys, if you do still have a question that I haven't gotten to, absolutely come right out and ask. Okay. That being said, one other little thing that's working. Yeah, that's just it, Nathan. I will be getting some lemon and ginger tea when I've got both at home here. I will go and deal with that when I get done this stream so that my throat doesn't seize completely for tonight. Because I got another 2 hours at 9 o'clock tonight when I go on the Dave show. And where are we here? This, in case you're interested, guys, this is the link to Spaced Out Radio, which is where I will be from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. tonight on the ET Connection. Oh, all you do, Christine. Okay, and you can do this assuming you're using a computer, not your phone. If you're using your phone, put the phone down. Okay, just set the phone down where you can still see it. But take your hands, palms open, turn them towards each other, and just bring them just half an inch to an inch apart. You'll feel something there. Go ahead and give it a shot. You should feel, you may describe it as heat. You may feel a kind of a pulse. I had one person tell me they felt like bubbles. Kind of like putting your hand on top right at the surface of water in a water jet. Absolutely, Nathan. Nathan just goes, it's a super easy. First believe it, and it will happen. And that is absolutely half the catch. Oh. Oh. Some of them. Okay. Some of the giants were. Some of the Anunnaki were gingers. Okay. But you had the really funny part about it is if you want to get an eye, and this is where, if you want to get a real clear look at it, this is where things get screwy. Okay. Because people have asked me, well, no, you're just making it up because you've been gaming too long. Yes, I've been gaming since I was 13 years old, but I've been dealing with the off-worlders since I was born. Okay, which means 47 years, which means an extra 13 years earlier. Okay, but when you take a look at Dungeons and Dragons, okay, the giants they list off, those are different renditions of the Anunnaki. Some of them had red hair, some had silver hair, some were bald, etc., etc. And in all fairness, that's the thing, Christine. Once you feel it, once you've got a fix on it, slowly separate your hands, but just a little at a time, so you can continue feeling it. Like when I bring my hands apart, I can just pull them this far apart, and right off the bat, I've got the energy. Now, you can use that same energy. This is what Nathan calls quantum energy. I call 0 point. It's the same thing. It works exactly the same way. Sometimes gray hair silver has more of a sheen to it. Okay, in answer to your question there, Philip, gray hair tends to be a little duller, and it depends on who you talk to. Now, I still fight with eye color or with colors, but what I will tell you is that it's hair. It's like anybody else. Now, I will tell you, with the ones that you call ginger, many of them, their hair was either ginger or it was a dark auburn. Okay. More often than not, it was covered in black anyway. But the neat part about it is so much of our civilization has been lost in the past. Things like when the Library of Alexandria was raised, we lost a staggering amount of information, and we are on the verge of having the same thing happen all over again. But this time, the Library of Alexandria that we are talking about is the World Wide Web. If that goes down, all of the information from the last 100 years goes back to the Stone Age. And we are going to take a long time to get back. But as I said, we continue working together like we are, and we will get this turned around. And that's why I say, and I asked this yesterday, I'm on the verge of getting help to actually get a publishing company up and running. Okay. That would be an idea, Nathan. That said, what I've been asked for by the company that looks like they're going to be giving me a hand is that I get letters of support and or intent. A letter of support simply means people, whether they're strangers, acquaintances, whatever, that will write a letter saying, yes, I do feel this is a necessary business. I do feel that, Keith will make it happen. Okay. Intent comes from if you've got a poem or a story you're looking to get published and would put my services to use. That again would be really appreciated. I'm just looking at some of what's been written here to make sure I don't absolutely lose it in the process. You know, the nice little part about it. Oh, the Black Knight satellite, from what I gather, and I haven't looked into it, but from what I gather, is a much further reaching deep space satellite. They're looking for planets that support life. What they're having a problem with is they're looking for planets that support human life, which is a good idea if you're looking at colonizing. But there's a lot of planets out there that support life itself. Okay, once they've got that, but mankind has to get something turned around. We're living on a planet right now that can provide us with all sorts of things for another 100 years without even thinking about it. But we've got to start treating the planet as though it's important. Okay, the reality is, it's not a question of we've got first world countries, second world, third world. The reality is every country on this world is a first world country. Anything can be a dangerous world there, Joe. You know, anything at all can be deadly in the wrong hands. And this is why I tell people, don't just take my word for things. Whatever you do, don't take my word. Do your own research. Am I going to be putting together a poetic anthology? And somebody brought it up. I was planning on doing one that is open to everybody. Okay, that is family accessible. But somebody sent me a request regarding an over 18 poetry book. And I don't write over 18. Okay, but will I keep an eye open for it and do an anthology when it comes handy? The answer is yes. And yes, Philip, what we got here? Yeah, Philip's going, I support human life, non-human too. And that's just it. All life matters. All of it is important and all of it is very special. At least in my opinion. And, my opinion, some people may figure is completely twisted, but what the heck? Yeah, where are we sitting here? We've actually had a really good run today. We're sitting here with 20 thumbs up and 13 in the chat room. And I don't know if we broke 20 today at this point. I do know that we've had a really good run. Yeah, Philip, over 18, like fairy tales without the scary parts watered down, or poems that are definitively adult oriented. Now, I don't write in those two fields, so we're not talking my work. Okay. We're not talking the work I work with. Okay. I work in 5 different genres, but I am happy to say that I will be co authoring a book. We've already started working on it in a genre I don't usually write in. Well, frankly, I don't write in it, but I do know how to write, and this guy's got a story that is priceless. So we will be working on it. Again, I am building an empire targeting getting the unknown people out in the open. Okay, without actually turning around going, oh, I'll do this and not do it. I'm going to keep prices as low as I can to make it accessible without hanging myself out to dry. But I will tell you, there's a lot of work, a lot of planning involved. One of the biggest things that I cannot stress enough, when I say I'm building an empire, right now I'm starting with a publishing company. I've already got books on the go, and I've already got the consulting side of things happening. Okay, now what I'm doing is starting to push the limits and expand. Eventually, like I was telling somebody the other day, eventually I may well buy a restaurant. Are you ever going to catch me cooking in it? Not a snowball's prayer. Okay. Well, for that to happen, number one, I take it, Henry, that means you're only in your 20s at this point. Otherwise, it ain't going to work out quite that way. But I am intending on see, my goal has always been, it's always been to see the 22nd century in a reasonably healthy body. Now, for that to happen, I got to be 137. And bearing in mind that they already clocked me out and shipped me to the morgue at 5, I'm living on stolen time. But yeah, and Henry, you don't have to wait till I'm 100, by the way. You ever make your way up to Kelowna, BC, Canada, I'll be more than happy to sit down for coffee with you. Or to anybody else for that matter, but the answer to your question there, Philip, is yes. Well, grilled cheese is one of those things that it's just a staple for just about everybody. You know, I will tell you, because of the fact I don't like cooking much, I did find another way to do grilled cheese. And this is a real simple recipe, and dang, if I can do it, you can do it. Okay, you take 2 pieces of toast, of bread, obviously, pop them in the toaster, you butter both sides, you butter, get it done, butter the toast, but you take either your shredded cheese or a slice of processed cheese, put it on the buttered side in. Okay, pop it in the mic for 30 seconds to melt the cheese. Now you've got a grilled cheese sandwich without using a frying pan. I do it, it tastes just the same and causes a lot less stress. That's just the reality of it, at least in my eyes. Now, and that is your cooking tip for the day from me. By the way, I am not what I would call a qualified cook. I mean, I cook things so they're not still moving, but, that means they're either dead or black. But, hey, we work with what we got. Now, that said, for the time being, I want to thank you guys very much for sharing your time with me. I will be on Dave's show tonight at 9 p.m. East, 9 p.m. Pacific until 11 with the ET Connection. I love it, Nathan. Nathan goes, when I was in the Army, I actually used a clothes iron to make grilled cheese. It works. I really do appreciate your guys sharing your time with me. And absolutely, I will be back again tomorrow, Saturday, so I should be back tomorrow without a problem. I'm finally healing again. Yeah, and we got to give it the address of 42, don't we? Hawk Moon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Sad to say we are shutting down right now, but thank you so much for dropping in, and I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.